Hello and welcome to my crib that is about to be sold in 2 weeks. So this is actually part 2. So if you're interested on part 1, go ahead and check out this card and that link, and that will send you to part 1 so you can watch that video. So we put it on the market October 1st. So the strategy for this was my mom's property and I was a live-in manager for about 4 years. Strategy and the reason we sold was to get to the market while it was still a seller's market. It's shifted. It's pretty much a buyer's market now. So the property we were hoping to get $500,000 for when we were just daydreaming back a year ago when prices were crazy high and we weren't even considering selling. So 500 was this number I always had in my mind. So there were 3 comparables that had been sitting on the market for about 3 months. Again, this was the beginning of October of 2022. So we actually came in at $425. We listed it at that price. The goal was to get it off the market by Thanksgiving. So we had 2 months that we were going to put it on the market. If we couldn't get it sold, we were going to take it off and just rent it and keep doing what we were already doing with the property. Luckily, we didn't have to. So it stayed on the market for 4 days and we got 7 offers. Cool thing about having it on the market, setting it at a lower price, which seems kind of scary, is that we got it sold really quickly. So my previous listing sat on the market for about 3 months, which was okay. That was what that client needed. There was a price he was not willing to go under. He got that price, but it took 3 months and it was the only offer he got. The difference with what we did in this strategy with my mom is that we put it low in hopes that people would come to the property and be like, oh, there's actually a property that's under $430,000 and it's nicely renovated. So we had 30 showings within the first 5 days. And then 7 of those showings actually put in offers. We got really, really low offers of just straight cash that were about $20,000 under ask. Offer we ended up taking was for $465, and it had $10,000 worth of seller credits. So right now the market is pretty heavy on buyers are asking for seller credits, and we were perfectly fine with that because that was still $455 was still the total cost. The cool thing too is because there was a bidding war, we actually got the very first offer as is, which means they weren't going to ask for an inspection, and they did full appraisal gap coverage as well. So we got some of those bells and whistles that we hadn't been seeing for a few months. So really, really awesome. So some of the things I learned from my previous listing we implemented here in the property. So let's go check out what we did. All right, so as you might have remembered from the first video, we had a lot of issues with carpet bubbling. We now have brand new carpet. It looks exactly the same now without bubbles. This is just industrial version carpet. It's pretty cheap. It was about $1 a square foot. So the entire price was $3,500 for the entire, it was 1,300 square feet of carpet. They came in and they did a fantastic job, networked with some contractors to find the person that did the carpet. So one of the very easy things that I recommend all sellers do is to change lighting. So we had I call them boob lights from the 80s all over the entire house. Really bad, ugly yellow. So we put in recessed lightings. We bought 10 lights. These were $30 each. It ended up being about $375 for all of the lights. And actually a bunch of my friends taught me how to change the lights and we did it ourselves. So the labor was $100. Paid them in pizza, beer, and gave them $100. If you notice, I did make labels for things. This was hopefully just to kind of have people not have to go on to the MLS, have the agent looking at their phone, kind of telling the potential buyer what was new in the property. So I put signs everywhere. Fridge was new. This was actually when I was renting it, it stopped working. Obviously, as I was running a house hack, I needed a working fridge. So I bought this maybe 6 months ago and then decided to sell. So still was able to advertise that as a new fridge. One of the problems I had during the house hack was had a dog that actually destroyed this weather stripping. So it looks really, really nice now, and it helps with energy efficient savings. So it was $25 from Home Depot and super easy. You just stick it right in. So the main feature I want to show you guys though is the deck. So in the first video, I had shown you guys the Trex and the cost. So this was $8,000 for a new deck, and we stained the railings, which makes it look a lot nicer now. And everybody who came through and did showings really, really liked the new deck. And it was falling off the house. And so it was not really a option we needed to put on a new deck. But I'm glad we did because it ended up looking really good. So for new listing agents, I highly recommend getting some type of labeling system. The reason I really like this and the reason I put it right here is because when you are a buyer and you're walking up, the very first thing you notice is everything that we did to the property right here. So you don't need to ask your agent, and your agent doesn't have to be like, I have no idea how much the square footage is. Let me look it up. it's right there. So a lot of people don't know how to hire contractors. So my first task to do was to figure out painting. I did not want my mom to deal with anything, and so I told her I would find contractors and I would give her a number, a few quotes, and she could choose the quote and I would take care of the rest. Since I was her agent, I wanted to do that for her. I learned that when you're hiring contractors, you need to be as communicative as possible. Didn't know this until I did not have any more time to communicate because the job was already done. And it was not finished. In the contractor's mind, it was. So what ended up happening is we chose a color. So this bluish gray is the color I chose for the whole interior, completely explaining, even if you feel like you are teaching a child how to count, say everything that in your mind you want finished. So I thought I had paid for two colors, white and this gray, and that the interior, when I said entire interior of the property, I was expecting closets, trim, the baseboards, this is wainscoting, I was expecting this painted, everything. So when I come to see the property, I walk in and none of the white is painted. The baseboards aren't finished, the wainscot's not finished, all the closets hadn't been touched. So I called and he basically just thought that's what I wanted, and we did a complete misunderstanding where he thought I wanted just this blue because it was the only paint I picked out. When you are trying to work with a contractor, over communicate everything. It really will make a huge difference. So the price of the paint ended up being $3,800, probably a little bit more in my opinion than what I should have spent, but that's okay. At this point, it's just white. We can do that. We cleaned the wainscoting, didn't even need to repaint it. And then we actually added a little bit more extra painting. So we got a darker blue gray to accent this, which was white, but the black of the railing was showing through. So it looked pretty sketch. Now it looks beautiful. And then we matched the front door to that as well. So just got a little bit darker accent pieces. So when I lived in this property, the tub got a lot of action. 3 tenants shared this bathroom for 5 years. The tub was pretty much rusted. Tip number 1 is if you're going to use a bath mat, make sure you pick it up and clean underneath it. I didn't touch this bath mat for probably 9 months and it was rusted yellow underneath. It was disgusting. So clean up under your bath mats. So we actually, the only option, you can't really paint a tub, which is what we were hoping was going to be the quick, easy fix. And we didn't want to buy a brand new tub because it was going to crack the tile. So it's actually only about $475 to refinish a tub. And it came out absolutely beautiful. Really, really makes a huge difference. Just having the bathroom look a lot more white, a lot more pristine and crisp. So for the bedrooms, all of the interior walls were painted, the new carpets, and then new light fixtures. And then we just touched up the trim along the baseboards. So if you can remember from the first part of the video, there was a very large sectional here. I don't have a truck. I had no way of getting it out. Since it wasn't in great condition, I put it free on Facebook Marketplace. Actually, within the first day, I had somebody that was interested in coming and picking it up, gave them the code pad to get into the house. They came in, took it apart, and took it away from me. So it was really great. So the other thing that we did down here, because again, like I said, the painting didn't go as smoothly as I would have liked. The white wainscoting trim right here did not get painted. So instead of painting the entire things ourselves, we actually just scrubbed it. So we just took soap and water, hot water, and we just lightly cleaned it. If you do too much, you could take the paint off. But we didn't need to paint it after just cleaning the wall. So that saved us time and it saved us money on buying less paint. So we're in the last basement bedroom right now. And if you're a listing agent, one thing I want to point out to you is that if you're going to do labels, go big, put them everywhere. So as you can see, I actually labeled that this closet system was from the Container Store. A tenant put that in about 3 years ago. And then I even went as far as labeling the crawl space down here, which has water shutoff valve and extra storage. So instead of just putting them up in the front by the thermostat, I put them everywhere so that buyers really know what they're buying. So originally in the first video, this hardwood floor was in pretty bad shape, pretty rough. It was kind of black from where people walked in all of the time. So instead of replacing this, we actually had it refinished. So we had a contractor come in and he sanded down the entirety of the wood floor right here. And then he coated it 4 different times with polyurethane. So he would coat it, let it dry, coat it, let it dry. Only cost about $250 to completely restore this wood finish. So super easy and affordable way to perk up the house. The property has fallen out of contract once already. So I wanted to kind of talk to you guys and recommend to not get your hopes up. Things can go wrong, and it's okay if they go wrong. You just have to do it all over again. And actually, when we found out the offer fell through, it happened to just be because of loan reasons that didn't know a specific reason, but it happens. We put it back on the market, and we actually raised the price. So originally we listed it at $425. We listed it at $450 this time, which on the MLS looks like a price increase, but because it was listed as back on the market, nobody questioned it. So we ended up getting 4 showings the first weekend, which was actually the weekend after Halloween. So it was going pretty smoothly, honestly. So within those 4 showings, we had 1 person offer, and they offered above asking. And it ended up only being less than $3,000 of our original offer, and they waived inspection. They were taking the house as is because I gave them the original inspection from the first offer. So it was on the market for 2 days, and we got it at pretty much the exact same price. So even though it was terrifying to get the email that said we're terminating, it's okay because it ended up working out, and now it closes in 2 weeks. So I've been an agent now for over a year, and so I have been doing this for a little bit of time. I work primarily with buyers, 100% love investors, but I will help with residential buyers as well. And I've had some listings under my belt here as well, and so learning quite a bit on how to help advertise your property. One of the things we did with this property was staging. That was something I paid for entirely. So that was $1,800, and that staged the entire top floor only. We waited to get it staged to take professional pictures, and it looked absolutely stunning on the MLS. So I highly recommend, if you are a listing agent, to do everything that you possibly can for your buyers. Don't expect your sellers to go out and learn how to stage a property and find people for that. Build your networks, have those connections so that when you get a listing, you can do all that stuff, and all they needed to do is say, yes, let's get it staged. Also, I'm on the FI team. That stands for Financial Independence. We are an investor-based realtor team based in Denver. Ian's a FI team member here as well, so make sure you like and subscribe to his channel, Ian.Real Estate Agent, and to the FI team. Also, there will be a part 3, so we're going to talk about the numbers and what I plan to do with this property once it sells, so definitely check that out when it comes out. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I will see you at part 3.